afternoon, everyone, and thank you to everyone here today, Ms. Cochran, faculty and staff, and especially students, and a special thank you to the grandparents and special guests here with us today. We're so happy to have you with us. My dad is a diehard fan of the band U2, and as a result, their music is playing all the time in our house. When SiriusXM created a YouTube channel, my dad was instantly obsessed. My family's favorite segment from this channel is titled The 5 Songs That I Desire Most. A play on one of U2's songs, called Desire, this segment is made up of U2 fans sharing their top 5 U2 songs and what each song means to them. And, of course, they play these songs after talking about them. So, for the next few minutes, I'm going to do my own take on this. I've been at Derryfield for the past 5 years, so I'm going to break it down by year, with the 5 songs that describe my Derryfield experience. Don't worry, I'm not going to play each song for you, and they're not all going to be U2 songs. While no one year can be defined by an experience or feeling, I'm going to do my best to encapsulate each year in one song. When I visited Derryfield for the first time, I was in 7th grade and had to be practically dragged to the open house. Not too different from how I had to be practically dragged onto the stage today. However, when I stepped into the middle school English section of the open house, I was blown away. Miss Byron's classroom was overflowing with books and bookshelves. Strange as it seems, I have never been in an English classroom that had as many books as that one, and it made me feel more safe and secure than I ever could have imagined. Growing up, and to this day, books have been a safe haven for me. I've never been much of an extroverted or social person or social butterfly, at least with people I don't know well. Something that only introverts can attest to is that every person that you spend time with is not equal. Some people are much more draining in my social battery than others. However, books have never drained me. I've always been an anxious person, and my comfort books never fail to bring down my head when my thoughts start to spiral. After the open house I visited in 7th grade, I made the decision to apply to Derryfield for 8th grade, and got in, obviously. To define my 8th grade experience, I picked the song Learn to Fly by Foo Fighters. Throughout this year, I raided Miss Byron's bookshelf too many times to count, but I also learned to fly on my own, if you will. I was able to push myself outside my comfort zone and enter a new school with new people and new teachers. 8th grade was the year that I had to learn to fly in the Derryfield environment, and to find out why all the teachers kept telling me to dance on the top of my assignment. It took me a bit to learn, but it was an acronym. Date, assignment, name, class, and then the optional emoji. I don't know if I ever learned to dance, but during 8th grade, I learned to fly on my own, at least metaphorically. 9th grade meant our grade shifted, and I once again needed to learn how to operate in a new environment with new people. However impactful all of these changes were, the thing that really stands out in my memory of 9th grade is the dreaded public speaking. I was able to avoid it for the most part in middle school, but freshman year, I found that there was no escaping it. I remember one English presentation in particular. Despite practicing multiple times in front of my parents, my mind went blank when I got to the front of the class. I tried to look down at my note cards, but I could barely read them, my hands were shaking so much. I warbled my way through the presentation, face flushed, feeling the eyes of my classmates staring me down. To make matters even worse, I had an even bigger presentation in my history class later that day. However traumatic this turn of events was for little freshman year Eliza, I learned an important lesson that day. In my history class, I had to dust myself off and focus on giving that presentation to the best of my abilities. It didn't have to be the perfect presentation. It just needed to be done. And taking that approach has been something that I've continued to learn and accept during my time at Derryfield. I'm never going to enjoy public speaking, I've accepted that. But practice means that it gets easier. Not perfect, but still better. However, practicing public speaking was not the only thing that started to relieve a bit of my public speaking anxiety. 9th grade was also the year that I found music as a form of relief. The song that I picked to define this year is Overnight by Maggie, and it is one of my favorite songs. Finding music that gets me through the days and gives me relief from stress and anxiety has been crucial for me. Part of learning to fly in 9th grade was adapting to a new environment, and songs such as Overnight helped me to do so. 10th grade was the first COVID year, so the song that I selected is Don't Stand So Close to Me by the Police. This year was kind of a weird one, kind of like the lyrics to the song. I think that I speak for all of us when I say that the beginning of COVID was an experience, and maybe not one that we want to dwell on. So, moving on to 11th grade. Throughout my time at Derryfield, I've always been a strong proponent of going to teachers during an academic block to ask questions about homework or an upcoming quiz or test. However, my junior year was the year that I realized that sometimes it's okay to use the support of others for things that affect your life outside the classroom. The song, Sometimes You Can't Make It on Your Own, by U2, is a letter in the form of a song. It was written by Bono, U2's lead singer, to his father. The refrain that stands out to me the most is, "You don't have to put up a fight, you don't have to always be right. Let me take some of the punches for you tonight." As someone who has always been fiercely independent and pretty bad at talking about more personal struggles, this song represents me learning that there are people there who will support me. In December of my junior year, I lost my grandfather. He lived 20 minutes away from me, and I would go to visit him with my mom often on the weekends or after school. He was quick with a joke, and more than anything, loved hearing my stories about school. I felt the loss of him profoundly. However tempting it was to stay in my bed in solitude all day, I found that I had my own built-in support system at Derryfield. I had outreach from my friends who were willing to either talk about what was bothering me or to just provide a distraction. When I spoke at my grandfather's funeral, I even had a Derryfield friend there to support me. I had the support of my teachers in giving me extra time on assignments, and the ever-present support and quick wit of Dr. Carlin. I had my advisor, Mr. Young, providing comedic relief with his never-ending supply of stories. Junior year proved to me that the support of those who care about you at Derryfield extends further than just the classroom. I found that when I couldn't make it on my own, there were people at Derryfield who had my back. As some of you may already know, I'm a big fan of Taylor Swift. So for my senior year song pick, I just had to go with a Taylor song. However, I could not pick just one song to describe my senior year experience. So I picked two. It's Time to Go and Long Live, both by Taylor Swift. These songs both deal with the idea of moving on. It's Time to Go is more of a complete goodbye, of realizing that it's time to move on with your life, that you're ready for what's next. This is how I felt for most of my senior year. I'm ready for what's next. Derryfield has prepared me, and I'm ready to learn to fly in a new place again. Long Live is another goodbye song, but of a different kind. It's looking back on an experience with fondness and feeling nostalgia for a moment before you even left it. It's the feeling when you know that you're moving on, but that you'll always remember those who are on the journey with you. And the feeling of this song also sums up my feelings about senior year. Because as much as I am ready for what's next, I'm so thankful for the support that the people at Derryfield have offered me, and I'm going to miss it. I'm going to miss Mrs. Setta telling me that I'm crushing it every time I see her in the hallway, even when I'm obviously not. I'm going to miss RTR's advice and support, in particular with this speech, and his welcome of, "Miss Lamont, so nice of you to join us," every time I show up late to first period global issues. I'm going to miss John Mulaney and Saturday Night Live references and laughing with my friends until my stomach hurts. And I'm going to miss the track and cross country teams, although I'm not going to miss having to race in the rain, hail, and snow. I want to thank everyone who has made my Derryfield experience one to remember. And while making a speech in front of the entire school is not my preferred way of thanking people, here I am. And so I'll wrap up the speech with the final words of Long Live. I had the time of my life fighting dragons with you, and long, long live that look on your face, and bring on all the pretenders. One day we will be remembered. Thank you. Now it's my great pleasure to introduce the next Founder Scholar. This person is described by his advisor as ambitious, a good listener, curious, thoughtful, driven, competitive, and motivated. His Spanish teacher describes him as a powerhouse in the classroom and a friend and role model to all. His history teacher has said that he is just a joy to be around. In his math class, his teacher describes him as simply an outstanding math student with genuine curiosity. All of these comments demonstrate why he is such a deserving recipient of the Founder Scholarship. Congratulations to the next Founder Scholar, Jack Schroeder.